suitable for any specific person. In other words, we're a publisher. We are not a registered investment advisor. For that, you can go out and find your own registered investment advisor. This is for self-directed investors to learn something. The session will be recorded. I just started the recording, and the recording will be available later tonight or tomorrow morning, and we will email you at your email address you used to register for the webinar with a link to where to find that recording. And I will go ahead and turn you over to your presenters now. Steve and Andy, say hi.
All right, great. Thanks, Scott. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Scott.
All right, everybody, here's everybody. All right, Scott's recording the webinar, so if you miss any part of it, it will be available at a later time. So Scott did a great job of doing our disclaimer. We'll just hop right off of that into the first slide. A little bit of a surprise. Our CEO, Dan Merkin, was supposed to be filling in today and doing this webinar, but he's unavoidably detained. So just a quick background on Dan. You know, we've known him since 1998, both Andy and myself, and he came from Texas, and he's been trading his own account for many, many years. Was an entrepreneur in the year 2000. In 2002, basically launched Trade Ideas. And this is who you're listening to now. So I'll pop a quick bio in. My name's Steve Gomez. I'm user number 3 of Trade Ideas. Basically, Dan came to myself and to Andy very early on and asked us to help with some of the beta testing and design and some of the features that could be implemented in his new product back in 2002, which he called Trade Ideas. Myself, I've been trading markets since '95, including commodities and futures. In 2007, both Andy and I actually wound up with a pretty cool contract to help train prop traders in China that were trading the U.S. markets overnight. So basically, we would go in at 9:30 at night and be done at 4 in the morning, or I can't remember what the hours were, but they were pretty much backwards.
That was
a lot of fun. Yeah, that was it. So not a whole lot of time to eat during the day, but enough time to grab some breakfast and have a nice nap and get ready for the trading evening again. So we did that for about 6 months back and forth, and we came back and we started a desktop sharing service called Today Trader. We did that for about 3.5 years, focusing on opening up the desktop, kind of like I'm going to show you what we do with our current Trade Ideas live trading room. And then moved on to more swing trading time frames. Andy and I both were the managers of a Ditto Trade mirrored account. It's a technology that's no longer here, but it was really cool. It allowed people to open up a brokerage account and attach themselves to the trades that we were making as the lead traders. And we outperformed that market for 3.5 years, trading it against the S&P. So if you happen to join me and follow me at Today Trader on Twitter, the little icon that we use, the little badge, that's basically our outperformance slide on how we did on the Ditto Trade account versus the S&P. So moving forward in the new chapter, we are helping Dan Merkin and the rest of the gang at Trade Ideas absorb an incredible amount of growth. Basically, this is a 14-year-old company of technology. It's very innovative, and it's created by traders. It's not created for traders by technology guys or software guys. No, we started off as traders and then technology, and leveraged our network of people on the back end and created a product that traders want. And this is what we're going to be showcasing you today, kind of going through the inception and the genesis into where we are now with the artificial intelligence. Just a quick humble brag here. Trade Ideas has strategic partnerships with the eSignal, Lightspeed, StockTwits. Trade Ideas is also integrated into the Scottrade Elite platform, Scottrade or E-Trade Elite. I can't remember which one is which. Excuse me, but both of those
Scottrade Elite, yeah.
Scottrade Elite, thank you, and E-Trade have the Trade Ideas brand embedded into their software. So those people are using a nice version of our technology as well. So here's just a quick timeline to show you that we've been growing leaps and bounds. This is where I joined right about here, along at the same time when the AI technology was introduced. We had a lot of subscriber growth and a need for customer service and education, and Andy joined right about here. And we've never really been looking back. This has been just quite a banner year for us. 2016 was just a complete banner year for us. I don't know how else to put it. So we're very pleased about that. We're growing. Dan likes to say we're one of the fastest growing companies in fintech right now. We have a vibrant and free community for active investors. So I just want to take a moment on this. This is what we do to try and really help onboard people and act as a concierge for our product, which is very extensive and can be overwhelming to some people, but we're here to help. And some of the ways in which we help, the main way is every day right here. You see this, this is our live trading room. The moderator of this room is named Barry Einerson, and Barry utilizes the trade ideas and AI technology. This number says 162, but we're up to about 600 now. We need to update this slide. Free is a great price, guys. It's a free room. It's easy to register and come in. It's open pretty much during the live hours, and got a lot of good traders in there that make themselves known and kind of show what they're doing in their repertoire. But at the same time, it's a great place. There's some technical tabs, support tabs here. You can come in and have real-time interaction with us, and it's a great hangout for the people that use the product. And again, free is a great price. We also offer 4 webinars a week. They're all at 5 Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. We start off with Monday. We kind of mix it up a little bit, so we never really have the same 2 people twice. But on Mondays, it's myself and Jamie Hodge. I'm helping Jamie out with office hours. Yesterday's trade of the week usually is occurred at 5 p.m. Eastern with myself and Andy riding shotgun. We did not do the trade of the week because we're kind of switching up and doing this particular webinar for you guys today to give a basic showcase of what the technology is. Wednesdays are the Q&A demo where the CEO Dan and Director of Operations Brad really get more into question and answers and nuts and bolts about the functionality and things to come and things that you can and do with our product. And then we round out the week tomorrow with, it says Jamie's studio, but this is actually Andy's studio. We need to update that slide. Andy will create some great content. He's actually told me what he's working on tomorrow. So if you guys are not on our webinar circuit, you're going to want to get on there because we got a lot of good stuff throughout the week. 4 webinars a week is pretty impressive with 4, 5, 6 different guys putting it together. One of the things you'll see in the live trading room each morning, Dan, the CEO, will come in, and he's been making some trades and sharing some of his trades. He wanted me to make sure that this was seen because, CLRB, this is a stock I've never heard of, but it popped up on our scanners, and if CNBC isn't talking about it, how else are we going to hear about it? Well, I'll show you in a minute how our scanners really try to pick up volatility and create some alpha that otherwise people just are not quite aware of unless they have some really cool technology to show it from them. But once again, in our live trading room each morning, there's a lot of trades going on and being announced, and Dan, the CEO, is in there as well, participating. So you heard me mention AI, artificial intelligence, and that's really our latest and greatest tool that we're offering. It's only a year old. And the definition essentially of AI is simply the automation of a scientific method using systematic observations and measurements and experiment and formulate and test and retest and modify of the hypothesis until we come up with a couple of strategies. And I'll explain how this AI model fits into what we're doing coming up here real soon. We've given our AI a personality. We call her Holly. If you happen to see this on Twitter, you'll know that this is in reference to our artificial intelligence, codenamed Holly. And what Holly does is, allows us to find some great opportunities, either long or short. This is from a few weeks back, but it was a great example of showing how not only on the daily chart, we really had a nice entry that, in the human brain probably looks like a breakdown. But what's going on here behind the scene is Holly is crunching a couple million back tests of certain strategies. These are the strategies right here in this particular slide, and I'll show you the live ones today. But we look at these as kind of like a basketball player on the bench. Maybe they're on the starting lineup, maybe they're sitting on the bench waiting for their turn to get in the game. But for the most part, the AI is every evening taking certain strategies or a base strategy that we feed the system and improves it much faster and much easier and more efficiently than we as humans ever could, and starts to give us interesting entries throughout the day in real time. This particular one was on the daily chart, a very nice support buy at these levels, and it was a breakout buy pretty much in the middle of the day. So here's a 15-minute chart showing you right here at 12:48, a really nice mover, and at the same time, looking at the daily chart, had some room to grow as well. So let me just be clear. It's not a red light, green light, buy everything, sell everything you see system. That's not what it's designed for. It's a trader's tool, and you still need to wear your trader's hat. But what we've got here, and as you see on the side, we've got some win percentage scores and some profit factor scores that basically are reshuffled every single night, where these strategies, some long, some short, will go back into the hopper. And if I have time, I think I'll do a quick back test for you to show you actually the platform that the AI is built on and what it's actually doing over 1 million times every evening, running and rerunning and rerunning and trying to find the optimal strategies for the following day. So great opportunities can be found with our AI. This particular alert right here, this is part of our standard package. It has nothing to do with the premium AI. This is about a 14-year-old technology right here. When we first started Trade Ideas and I asked Dan for a few ideas of what I wanted to see, all we basically had was an alert window. And the alert window gives us a real-time timestamp and a price stamp and a directional strategy. And we can find long opportunities. We can find short opportunities. In this particular case, this icon basically means breaking down through resistance. But there's a lot more going on this one. It's called wait for the 8 short, because what it's actually doing is just waiting for the 8-period moving average to catch up. So typically we get stocks that gap down like this, kind of shuffle sideways, and right where this blue arrow is, this is basically where the 8-period moving average caught up to the price. And it took a little bit of stubbornness, but it never really gave too much of a fit and was a really nice follow-through to the downside. So this, again, is the basics, the standards subscription. You get alert windows, top list windows. Going back to the AI real quick, this was yesterday, and I wanted to grab yesterday because it was kind of the opposite of today. So here, looking again on the main window, these are the starting players for the day. You can tell if they're long or short, and you can also see what their win percentage and profit score factors are as well coming in. It looked like this particular day, a lot of darkness in here. We didn't have a lot of these strategies fire, but this power hour short and wait for the 8, which is hidden down there, these were the actual trades for the day. Oops, let me go back. These were the actual trades for the day. So yesterday, there it is, January 17th, the AI said, hey, you know what? The path of least resistance is to go short. So a lot of the trades, which in this case was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 or 11 trades total for the whole day. The majority of the ideas coming out of the AI generation were to go short at these prices. And at the end of the day, it generated 2.41 cents of return on 1 cent of share on 11 trades. So this was yesterday, but we can flip it on a dime and go back to today, and I will show you today's real action was to the upside. I put this together real quick after the close just to kind of show you. We've got a 2016 press release that just went out on the AI, which shows an entire year of the same thing, but basically what you got here is January 1 starting point, or January 2 in this case. The green line is our AI total profit aggregated points collected and booked at the end of the day, and the blue line is just a tracking line for the SPY, S&P. So as you all know, the market's been real flat lately, but in the first two and a half weeks of the January trading, the AI is starting to make that separation again and moving higher. Basically, we're trying to give casino-type odds. Casino-type odds to these trades. If a trade comes out at 70% and tested last night, well, there's a 70% chance that trade's going to work, but there's also still a 30% chance the trade may not work. And so you've got to always keep your trader's hat on and your risk management rules handy to make sure that you're still managing your own account. Just a quick testimonial here from some of the people who really do enjoy the service. And Trade Ideas is a downloadable program. It works best on Windows. You can run it with a parallel or a boot camp or a code weaver type of virtual segmentation partition disk for Macs. But we're also very close to launching our final HTML5 online version. But for now, the tried and true product is still a downloadable version. And it's extremely easy to get going. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to get going. It's just a couple minutes to download, click install, and you double-click the icon on your desktop, and that's it, and you're ready to go. And it takes you right here to this first thing. I'm going to hit escape, and let's see here. Yeah, let's just go ahead and minimize that. What you're looking at now is my live desktop. Now, when Trade Ideas first opens up, obviously it doesn't open up into this live desktop. This is my custom default layout. But what we have done is we've made it so easy to just get going using this channel bar, kind of like just a little bit of Netflix surfing. Well, let's see. As you notice, today is this is today's action on Holly the AI. I will come back to that. But let's just start as if you were downloading this program for the very first time. You'll see we can go right into the Holly AI channel. And basically, this is a channel that's been pre-configured, pre-designed, laid out, all ready for you. Just click into it, and there it is. So it's the same data and the same information that I had on my default layout a moment ago. But this particular channel is only devoted to the AI and a couple of charts as well. Pre-market, this is probably one of our most popular channels. A lot of people like to get a lot of information pre-market, and what this does is basically shows us all the stocks that are getting ready to gap up. This will be in constant flux and motion, as well as this one gapping down, and then as soon as the bell rings, these basically are going to freeze in place because we're sorting by which stocks are looking ready to gap up the most and ready to gap down the most pre-market. There is another nice little tool in here called Pre-Market Movers, which is essentially 4 little strategies in one. This top strategy looks for high relative volume, so if anything pre-market is getting a lot of prints, a lot of activity quickly in volume, that's going to show up on that scan. Moving up pre-market, stocks that are moving up in pre-market are going to show up on this scan, and then things making pre-market highs and pre-market lows. So this is a nice version as well for people who like to get familiar with pre-market type of activities. Let's take a look at what else we got. We've got a social media channel, believe it or not, and we directly connect to the API of StockTwits. And so what that allows us to do is, let me just back up a second. Trade Ideas basically follows all U.S. stocks out there. I think there's 8,000 or 9,000 of them. And along the way, it's building a database on each one of those stocks. And in that database, we can know what's the average 30-minute volume, what's the average 5-minute volume, what's the average 5-day trailing volume. What's the average true range? What's the average volatility or standard deviation? Anything that we can measure on these stocks as an individual basis pretty much shows up as a filter. And so when we have those baseline anomaly, we have those baselines in our database of each stock, that's when we can start to use our filters and find where anomalies, things are really moving. Like for instance, if something is going to come alive in a 5-minute time frame, we have a filter for that to show you 100% would be normal volume for that time frame. But as we get near support and resistance levels, the filter that shows 5-minute volume can be very interesting, because if that thing starts cranking up to 300, 400, 500% of normal volume, and we're trading at an inflection point here on the charts, that's a nice little piece of information that not a lot of other people have. So moving forward, one of the things that we do also create a database on is social media mentions. And this can be looked at kind of like volume. It's not exactly trading volume, but what it is it's looking at certain stocks and saying, hey, this stock right here, APRI, was mentioned 9,700 times more in terms of StockTwits relative activity. So this social media channel is plugged in to try and find what is the mob talking about, what's the crowd talking about. And usually it's going to draw us to a lot of the same things that we'll see before going in, you're just using volume and things like that, but it's a different way of trying to see what's in play. What else we got? Surge. And I'll come back to this one, surge, instantaneous volume surge. Well, let's break this open for a second here. Here's the bread and butter window, the configure. Every single window that we have opens up into this configure window. And I can take a look at a couple of specific filters here, and I can show you some craziness. Here we were just talking about it. Volume 5-minute. Well, this particular scan is looking for stocks that just had a 300% surge in their 5-minute volume. Volume 1 minute, that's a 500% surge. So these are very, very aggressive filters, and this is the kind of stuff that's going to show us stocks that are probably coming out with news or something's going on, but we're going to see it quickly because of the 1 minute time frame. We can really reduce it down to that period. So every single channel that you see, you can come in here and look around and see exactly what the configurations are. Now, What you can't do is make changes to these. These are basically the public domain. Everybody has access to the same configurations and same filters. But I'll show you something cool on how to make that a workaround for that going forward. We have another channel for stocks dealing with volume. This one we talk a lot about in our webinars, the volume radar. This is showing us things that are doing relative volume that's off the charts. So once again, another way to look at volume. Relative volume is one of our favorite filters. And what it means when we say relative to what? It's relative to this time of day. So again, Trade Ideas knows what stock XYZ you should be trading in terms of a volume run rate at 11:30 East Coast time. And that would be a value of 1, the normal volume. But if that volume was doubled for the same time of day, 11:30 East Coast time, well, now we've got a run rate that's double the normal relative volume. And so we can track by relative volume, and we can sort also by relative volume and see that these particular stocks up here are doing 17 times more than usual types of volume. We've got many other things. Let's just see. I'll leave the rest of it for people to play around with, but we've got a metals channel, an energy channel, and then I would be remiss if I didn't show you the live trading room channel down here. This is one of the ways in which you can get to the live trading room. And in that live trading room, I mentioned Barry Anderson as our moderator. Well, these are the tools that he uses. And so we make it real easy for you to just say, hey, that's pretty cool. I like that turbo breaks up or that option play magic that Barry's using. I'm going to take a copy of it for myself. So here's how I would do that, guys. Watch closely. We have this thing called the cloud. The cloud allows us to move around configurations to different layouts or different traders. We can share with people. We can share with an audience. But if I came down here to this bottom page and I liked Barry's options play magic, which is basically cruising the options pits, looking for high spikes in put call ratios or put call volumes, contracts, and things like that, we don't have to come to this channel every time to get it. So the takeaway is you guys can go shopping on these channels and find what you want and say, okay, I like this one. Let's go ahead and grab this. So I'm going to click Save to the cloud. Now it's in my cloud space. But here's the big quantum leap jump. Again, the channel bar is so easy for newer traders to kind of just look around and see what we got. But we got to make a quantum leap here and go back to the layout that we started with. So I'm going to load my default layout, which is where we started this exercise. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how once it's loaded, we can receive whatever we took from the channel bar, we can bring into our own mix. So up here, I just load from my own cloud. And right here at the top is the options play magic. Now I have an exact working copy of what we just found to be used on these channel bars by other traders or other professionals. And the good thing is I can go into it now and I can configure it however I want. Because I had mentioned earlier, once you're on a channel bar, you can't make any configurations and save those changes because this is going to be the same configuration for everybody. So that's how easy it really is. You just kind of get started, launch a couple of new charts. We've got chart windows, and we've got this single stock window here I'll talk about. So whenever I double click on my desktop here, I can get a nice daily chart, I can get a 15-minute chart, and I can get all these other metrics, which are very interesting. Well, this one, short float of 44%, well, that's pretty interesting. That's very interesting. And so this is one of the methods that we like to use for swing trading or swing scalping. This particular scan here is called the trend change lubricant. It's looking for stocks that have been beaten up, as you can see, but are starting to base and create a possible trend change. So what I would do is I would say, wow, this particular thing is sorted for very high short float. 29 million shares is nothing in the float, and 44% of them are short. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of come here and eyeball this level above that wick, and I can create what I call a price alert. I can give myself notes that this thing is 44% short the float and set it. And if that red dashed line ever trades through tomorrow, the next day, or the next week, what's going to happen is I'm going to get a pop-up on my screen that looks something like this. And then I can really basically see exactly which stocks have triggered, which stocks have not triggered, which ones are making the money and which ones aren't, which strategies are working and which ones are not. So it's kind of the 1-2-3 punch. We're looking for setups that have an interesting short squeeze potential. Let me give you guys an example. CWEI is one that I show people all the time. Down here, this is exactly where it was showing up on this trend change lubricant scan. Well, this thing only has 9 million. Let's double check here. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. 10 million shares in the float. They still have 40% short the float. Basically back here it was about 56 or 60% short the float. And this has been one mother of a ride of a short squeeze. And they actually, I think, just got bought out. So the people who didn't get out actually had a really, really horrible day yesterday. But that's just a proprietary scan that I'm using called the trend change. And I'm doing it. Let's see what this top one is here. This one's got 49% short the float. Well, this one's kind of interesting too, because if I put my short seller's hat on, basically I don't want to see the price get much above that. So, so we're still using our traders technology and our traders hat here to try and find levels of interest. And if I'm looking at this chart and I see that 22 million shares are in the float, basically half of them are short, how are those guys going to feel if the price gets above this level? Well, I'm not going to know unless I create a price alert and give myself some notes here. 49% short the float. Jeez, on 22 million shares. That's nothing. Those are recipes for another CWEI. So just wanted to stop on there and show you that real quick because this is part of our basic standard package. The T windows stand for top lists, which basically means I can sort like a Excel spreadsheet. Normally we would sort by that relative volume that I showed you, but in this case I've got a different idea. I want to sort by short float percentage so I can see the ones that are at 40% short, 40, 20%, 20%. And then it's just a matter of marking it up, and if it happens today, tomorrow, next week, at least I've been served up a really good trading opportunity that I may have otherwise missed. Did you want to chip in on anything, Andy? Anything I'm...
Well, yeah, I think it's great stuff, Steve, and I think we should tell them the difference between an alert and a top list. How is this top list created?
Let's do that.
I'd be glad to do that if you want to get your breath.
No, I can do it.
Okay, go right ahead. All right. I know you've been rambling on, man.
Yep. Let's go down here and talk about an A window. Well, these A windows, they stand for alert, and they basically give us a time stamp and a price stamp. So if we go into configure an A window, here's what we basically have. Our search window starts with all these new high, new lows. These are our algorithms. These are what we call events. Crossed above, crossed below, made a new high, made a new low. And as you see as I scroll down, an incredible amount of options for events and algorithms and triggers. So the A window has to have at least one of those components. And then we get down to the purple and blue. These are our filters, and that's where we can decide where we want our filters to be for volume filters or how close it is to a moving average or whatnot. The T window is nothing more than filters. There is no real-time price stamp and time stamp. The T windows, the top list, will basically refresh every 30 seconds, and so things will drop off or come back on that did or did not satisfy the filters because it's an all or none set. They all have to be satisfied or the stock's not going to show up here. So these will stay lit for 30 seconds until the next refresh. But these particular ones, these are going to come through in real time. I wanted to find a couple to just show you something. I really like this one. Now, they don't all work, but this is an interesting one today, and this is how many we had, called bouncers. And let me just explain to you what bouncers is looking for. If we zoom in here to the daily chart, you'll notice yesterday's low is that orange line right there. Well, you can see today we traded below that orange line and then bounced right back through it. That's what this particular scan is looking for. If you'll notice, it was a very abrupt open, traded below yesterday's lows right here, the orange line, and then bounced back. You'll see some consolidation right there, and then a breakthrough. Well, this type right here is called breaking up through resistance. So here's our resistance. But what our filters say is, show us this alert extremely early. We have a filter that says, show us basically near the lows of yesterday if we can break through. And so I put that orange line in there to kind of highlight, some alpha that was generated this morning off of that particular trade. This one didn't really go anywhere. That one really didn't go anywhere. And that one had a little bit. But I'm bringing this up here to do one thing real quick. I want to show you guys the back testing module, because that's something that came about 8 or 9 years ago, and it's essentially what the AI Holly is built on top of. Now we can only backtest an A window because if you recall, we need an event, we need a timestamp, and a price stamp. Once we have those data points, we can do a lot with it. So again, any A window, we just have this option where we go, let's backtest this strategy and see if we can determine if this is a decent strategy. So the window comes up. I'm going to set an example. I'm on West Coast time, so 6:30 is really 9:30 New York. So we're going to sample the entire day right here. All right, so that's our first tab. Our second tab is how long do we want to hold it for? Well, in my experience, this is a decent 30 to 45 minute hold. So we'll go ahead and hold it for 45 minutes and see what we can get. Our risk management tab, I always keep the same. Expressing it in dollars isn't really useful because an $80 stock and an $8 stock are going to have two completely different variables. So I default here to percents, and I just do the standard risk 1 to make 3. So the back test is going to close out any trades that lost 1% on a stop loss, and we'll close out any trades that made a 3% profit target. So that'll be our risk management as we do a back test. Advanced, we can sample all the way back to 3 calendar months or 63 or 64 trading days. We'll go ahead and do all those. And here's our summary. This is about what we're ready to run. So when I click Simulate Buy, what I'm saying is to the system, tell me what would happen going back 3 months. What would happen if we bought every single one of the alerts that came through here and held them for 45 minutes? You know, what could we expect? And as you can see, it's taken some time to crunch through the numbers. But again, this is the genesis of what the AI is doing every single evening on many different, I don't know what the word would be, platforms.
Filter levels.
Filter levels or server levels or just
exactly.
Hardware, tech, whatever you want to call it. But what we're going to see here in a moment is a summary, and then this is a summary that we can kind of compare to, and that summary will show the scoring that we get. But I think it's really important that you do see really under the hood of what the AI is doing each and every night. It's doing this about 1 million times with 35 or 40 different strategies. So here's our summary page, and what we want to first take a look at is how many trades. Well, 1,092 trades, that's a lot of trades. 57% win percentage, well, it's better than 50%, but not where we want to see it. We'd like to see it up in the 60s. And then a profit factor of 1.7. We'd like to see a profit factor of 2.0 or higher, which means basically the profits are outpacing the losses at a pace of 2 to 1. So this is kind of our base strategy, and this is something that we would submit to Holly, something that has over 1,000 trades, something that's moving in the right direction, but we can improve on it. And I want to just show you a really cool thing, and this is essentially what Holly's doing at lightning speed that we just can't do as humans. What Holly does over the course of one evening would probably take us 6 months to do. And that's called optimization. So we go to this optimization tab here, and the first thing I look at is price. Well, we have a nice heat map that shows us there's really no anomalies in here except for that one, but we've got to leave that in there because it's part of the middle of the day. So no changes to be made there. But what about time of day? Well, let's change this to a 30-minute interval and take a look at something here. And here's something I notice. Well, the very first half an hour of the day is usually a lot of noise and a lot of junk, and a lot of Holly strategies don't even fire until at least 15 minutes after the open. But you know, looking at this 30-minute interval here, the profit factor is lower than we just ran, so the win percentage is lower than what we ran, but a ton of trades, 260 trades. We can do without those. But yet when we get to the 7 o'clock hour, we start to see a little bit more improvement. We're at 2.0 and a 66, so we really can't deny this. So what I'm going to say to you is 7 o'clock my time, which is 10 o'clock East, is probably the optimum time to run this strategy. And then we go through the day, we're okay, some really nice heat maps there, but all of a sudden right here at 10:59, we drop off into the abyss. Going into the close, this is showing us that this time of day is just not a optimum time for this strategy. So with that knowledge, 7 o'clock to 10:59, let's just run it again, and let me show you something. Entry, let's move it up to 7. And we'll stop scanning for trades at a minute to 11. And let's go ahead and hit simulate again and see if we can make some improvements. All right, we have made some improvements. Let's go count apples and apples here. We took over 1,000 trades, and now it's down to 650 trades. We had a profit factor of 1.7, now it's up to 2.2. We had a 57% win, now we're up to 60. These are starting to become some decent numbers here. And I just did one simple adjustment, time of day. I mean, watch what we can do if we take it to the next level. Go into these other filters here, and we can start to look for anomalies, whether it's the 15-minute range or average true range, or what the S&P is doing, or what the volume in the last 5 minutes was doing. There's many different things, stocks that gapped. I think there might be something in gaps. Okay, this is interesting. Here's what I see here, guys. Negative 7% gap down, all the way up to negative 2% gap down. So if a stock had a really severe gap that day, this strategy is not really going to work. So I can go right into the actual strategy here and say, you know what, I'm going to make my minimum strategy for a gap value of negative 3. So we'll say okay to that. And the maximum, looks like we don't really need a maximum. Everything's fine beyond that. So we created a minimum gap strategy. Well, let's see if there's one more thing we can try and find of interest. Daily RSI looks good. Distance from VWAP looks okay. Relative volume, anything going? That's kind of an anomaly. Change from the 20 period. Okay, it looks like we found something else. This will be our last adjustment before we run it again. But again, the 20 period moving average, this would be percentage change from the 20 SMA. Well, if we're too far away down here, it's not looking that good. And if we're too far away to the upside, it's not looking that good either. So again, we could come through and we could set our minimum values as such. And then we could set our maximum value right there, just using the heat map as a visual as such. Okay. So we've given ourselves a couple of good changes. Let's run this thing one more time, and we'll call it, a complete, for the most part, optimization, just by making a few changes here and there. So here's our last run, 2.24 profit factor, 650 trades. Okay, so we're still moving in the right direction. Now we're up to 61.3. 2.38 profit factor, less trades. I think you guys get the idea, because I could continue to go through this and try and fine-tune it. But that's what the AI is doing every single evening with the strategies that we give. And the following morning, we get the strategies that actually made the cut. And this is our main strategy window. And inside this window, we can sort by, and I recommend doing this. Last night, it looks like the power hour short, which means this is only trades that happen in the last hour, and they only go short. Well, it tested at 73% win percentage and a nice 3.89 profit factor. Today, in real time, it had 2 trades. Only one was a winner and was kind of a flat. Well, what if we sort by this? This is interesting, too. We can take a look at the strategies that did fire. Well, today we had 2, 5, 9, 12, 13, 14, and then 15. 15 out of 17, 15 out of 18. Not a bad win percentage today. So let me go to the closed trades. And these were the actual individual trades that came out during the day. I think I need to hit refresh my connection. There we go. So we get kind of a heat map. So some really nice trades today. Let's take a look at this one. Again, on the daily, was purchased on support. See, our trader eyes and our trader brains don't always see what the AI sees. The AI sees nothing but plot graphs, statistics, numbers, and probabilities. And even though it was buying on support, sometimes it's hard for us to do that. The AI said here on the 15-minute chart, hey, this is a good strategy. We're going to go ahead and buy on support today. And then taking it all the way into the end of the day was a decent strategy. So essentially, we had a lot of long trades today that basically made the money, where if you guys recall the slide I showed you was just yesterday, the shorts were the path of least resistance. So Holly the AI is constantly going to be looking for the path of least resistance and give us signals or give us ideas for trade concepts or possible trade ideas. That's the name, trade ideas. And if you look here in the main AI window, everything's a little different. The quarterback strategy, and you probably wonder what the heck is quarterback. I'll be happy to tell you. So basically a stock that's running up quickly and then pulls back 25%. For instance, let's see, quarterback. Let's take a look at the quarterback. Here it was right here. Stock ran up and then pulled back, and this blue tag was essentially buying a little bit of a pullback here on one of these nickel pilot looks like stocks. But everything up here is set ahead of time. The quarterback strategy will be deployed for a time stop of 45 minutes. If you decide to exit in 45 minutes, that's your call, or if you like it, you can keep it till the end of the day. It's going to have a smart stop. Basically, every stock, when we say smart stop, the Trade Ideas is looking at the volatility, average true range, things like that of every single stock, and gives it what it calls a smart stop. And you can see down here in this column, smart stops are generally 40 cents, 30 cents, 25 cents. So the biggest loser that was taken today really was a 13-cent loser, and that's not bad. So that's the kind of results that's giving us that separation on that graph going forward. Let's see, there's one more thing I did want to show you that's pretty easy and pretty cool. If you like to short stocks, and we looked at this trend change lubricant thing earlier and how we try to find stocks that might be trying to break their downtrends and then turn back up. Well, let me show you how easy it would be to duplicate this strategy and turn it into a bearish strategy. There's not much work that needs to be done. We basically would duplicate our stock, a window scan, so we have a duplicate copy here. Then we go into configure, and all we do is hit this one button here called flip. And doing that, it just inverted everything that needed to be inverted in terms of a filter. So now we've got this opposite list of stocks that are up on the year. Let's see if we can find some good ones here. Stocks that are up on the year but starting to roll over and possibly break levels of support. So I would be going through like this, and this one's already had a pretty big run. Looks like it filled that gap there. But these are opportunities where we can start to mark up areas of interest for a possible short sell. This one was already done earlier. And so, a quick, easy way to flip a bullish strategy upside down into a bearish strategy can be done with our configure and our flip button going forward. So, this is a very powerful program. I can't emphasize enough how much the 1 hour free one-on-one time you get with us is worth it. When you guys come in, you sign up with one of us, and basically we just kind of show you how to go through the configure. Here's a great exercise I always tell people. Go to the search window. Actually, let's go to an alert window so we can see more everything. And you go to the search window and you say, okay, Trade Ideas, what do you guys have in terms of RSI? Oops. Well, that's what we have. We can drill you right down into everything offered for RSI. What do you guys offer for MACD? Well, there's some MACD algorithms that are in there. What do you guys offer for standard deviations? Or what do you offer for a gap? Or, going back to the standard deviation, if you're not quite sure what that is, we make it very simple to just highlight it and click the help button. Help button takes you exactly to our documentation page, so you can read up to see exactly what you can expect from either an event or a filter in Trade Ideas. So the search window is your friend. It allows you to just kind of sit back and find out things of interest. Average volume, we can look at average volume on 5, 10, 3 months. It's up to you, but this is kind of where it all starts, the search window, to really see what it is that you guys might be interested in. And during that one-on-one session, you can come in and say, hey, I'm really looking for something that shows me explosive volume, but it's got to be above its 200-day moving average and this and that. And we can work with you and really try and help out the customization of what you're looking for. All right, let's just see. Any questions? Hi, Mr. Webinar. The recording will be available, Amir. Just look on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel. Anything you want to pop in with, Andy? I know I've been talking like a maniac.
No, man, you're covering it really good, dude. This is the easiest webinar I've ever done in my life. So, yeah, you pretty much used up all the time, and you covered the product nonstop.
Well, the price alerts are a wonderful feature, especially for somebody who's just starting out and maybe day trading. It can be a paper trading tool that shows you once the stocks are triggered, do they reverse and lose money, or do they continue and make money? So it's a great feedback mechanism for you guys to use the price alerts and see what's working. Right now, what I can tell is working is pretty much these squeeze plays. And matter of fact, speaking of squeeze plays, I've got another one that a lot of people like. This one's called Squeeze Me. It's basically looking for the most insane stocks that are out there that have super high short floats. And let me show you how I kind of use this one. Let's go down to our configure. What we're looking at here is minimum price $5, maximum price $200. The average daily volume of these things has to be 300,000, and we get a nice confirmation using that button. But I'm going to pull one thing out of here, which is position in year range. Short float minimum. To make this list, you have to have at least a minimum of 25% short float. But when I do that, you'll notice something interesting. We've got a long list all the way down to the bottom here, 25%, up to crazy anomalies, which I have no idea how something could be above 100, but we've got a couple here above 100, but we've got some here at 80%, 50%. But what we want to do is focus on the ones where the price action is really frustrating the shorts. So one of the ways we can do that is we can say, well, I want these all to be above a 200-day moving average, or I want them all to be above a 50-day or a 20-day. Or what I like to do is use what we call position in year range, where 0 equals a 52-week low and 100 would equal a 52-week high. So when we find position in year range, where did it go? I know it's close. There it is. Watch what happens if I pop in like 90 percentile. This is saying everything that's below 90 percentile of a 52-week range, I don't want to see it. I only want to see the stocks that are getting close to a 52-week high. And when we do that, we shrink up our options here very quickly, and we can start double-clicking, and oh my gosh, look at this RES. Who would want to be short this RES if this thing gets back to new highs up here when the thing is showing 51% short the float? Again, Tesaro also on the move. You can see these daily charts are all on the move, and there's a lot of pain going on because of the short float. So that's one of the things I like to look at, and I like to talk about a lot in Trade of the Week, but it's one of the things that has been working. It's just yet another top list where we can just refresh every 30 seconds and find stocks that fit our criteria, in this case the criteria of trying to make the short sellers cry as it goes through a 52-week high. All right. Only interested in commodities, wheats, bean, corn. Pamela, even though we used to cut our teeth back in the days with pork bellies and live hogs and cattle, the Trade Ideas servers are only monitoring U.S. equities and a few of the Canadian equities as well. So we can't help you with futures, but we've got a lot of cool stuff to show you with U.S. stocks. So unless I've missed anything really on Holly here, I think you guys got a great example of what's going on in the evening. Again, what I was doing there, just rerunning it 3 or 4 times, the AI is doing that over 1 million times every evening. And tonight, we're going to do it again. And tomorrow before the open, this is going to be probably a completely different or a shuffled list, so to speak, of strategies that are going to be deployed for tomorrow. And that's it. All right. I got a question. Seems hard to argue against AI's backtesting. Do people try? Sure, they try. And I'll tell you what. One of the most amazing things about the backtesting that it can do for you is it can save you a lot of time. Andy and I can laugh. We can both tell you how many times we thought we had just built the golden goose based on something we thought would work, and then we go and we backtest it, and the backtester tells us it's crap. So we scrap it. If the backtester says it's crap, then it's crap. You know, we're not going to try and override it and get excited about it. But when we find something like we found there on that bouncer strategy that we can continue to refine and try and optimize, that's the kind of stuff that we feed into Holly, and Holly improves on a daily basis. So with that said, hopefully you guys will drop by the live trading room. There will be links in the emails that go out to you all that will probably show you the live trading room link as well. But before you go, we do want to give you something. We offer something we call the Trade of the Week, and it's used with Trade Ideas technology to derive the base strategy. Then we kind of curate it. And then it goes out Monday morning as a possible trade. Well, this was the trade of the week, the first trade of the week of the year in a gold stock SBGL. It was up over 15% at one point today. The current trade of the week that we're working on is FCX, which really isn't doing much. But I want to remind you guys the trade of the week is not so much designed for a day trade scalp of the week. These are designed for things to hold on to and try to let them work over the course of the year. And I can tell you with complete honesty that CWEI was one of the early trades of the week that we gave out last year. And think that kind of speaks volumes for itself. So let me bring back up the slideshow so I can show you all how you can get on the Trade of the Week and kind of just keep tabs on what we're doing here at Trade Ideas. All right, so as a special thank you for the attending, you're going to get a free Trade of the Week in your mailbox on Monday mornings. Again, we use the Trade Ideas technology. A lot of it has been trend reversals like you saw in that gold miner stock. Some of them are looking for major short squeezes like we did with CWEI last year. But there'll be charts and reasonings and stop losses and suggested profit targets in those Monday morning emails. So we'd love for you to sign up for that. It's at trade-ideas.com. Just pop in /free. And we'll get you on that mailing list. And also, you know, the live trading room, hopefully there'll be a link in there how to get into the live trading room. It's free. People are demonstrating the technology and the software in real time. Our CEO, Dan Merkin, is in there as well, you know, trying to be funny and making some trades as well. So it makes for an interesting environment. So if you have any additional questions aside from what I just showed you, I'll show you again, trade-ideas.com /free is going to get you on the Trade of the Week mailing list and slowly kind of get you more familiar with what we're doing around here. You can reach myself at steve@trade-ideas.com. I didn't update that slide, I'm sorry. For major, most questions, info@trade-ideas.com is really the best place to go. The phone number is saved for mostly accounting questions and is usually a voicemail. We'll get you a call back the same day if you're having an accounting issue. Trade Ideas 1 is Dan Merkin on Twitter. I think I showed you earlier. I am Trade Ideas. I'm sorry. I am Today Trader. Let's spell that again. Today Trader. Today Trader. All right. So you can follow me as well. And sometimes over the weekends, I'll even give out a couple of hints or a couple of ideas as to what we are looking for the possible trade of the week, and try and be as you know, beneficial as possible as I can to the Twitter stream with trading related items. So that's all we've got for you guys today. Again, you know, please jump on this .com /free for the trade of the week. And anything else you wanted to add, Andy?
No, that's it. But you covered it very well today, Steve.
Well, very good.
Making my afternoon easy.
Well, if you all don't know, you can go to our website and sign up for any one of our webinars. And tomorrow, Andy and Jamie are going to be doing a webinar at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. And Andy's already told me some of the content he's putting together, and it's going to be pretty interesting. So highly recommend you guys tune in for that. So with that said, we'll go ahead and bid you goodbye. Appreciate you all showing up and looking at this new technology. If you have any questions, info@trade-ideas.com is the best place to start. So I will say goodbye. I'll see you next Tuesday. If any of you come to the Trade of the Week webinar, we will be discussing the last couple trades of the weeks that we've had, plus whichever one is the new fresh one on Monday morning. We'll be talking about that one as well coming up next Tuesday. So with that, we'll bid you guys farewell.
All right. Thanks, everybody.